it's been a while since I've gone live on everything. Typically,
Mm. Does this do that where it just like automatically?
yeah, we are going to stream to Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
There we go. Should be good. Let's see what it all looks like. I
Right.
have the little
Are we able to? So are we able to see like the? Is that what the comments tab is?
yes. So comments tab we should see everything. I should be able to like bring in people's comments as well. Let me make sure
Oh, cool.
everything
Let
else
me
is
sign in. So let's see if that works. Whoop. Try that again.
sweet, sweet, sweet. Everything's looking good. I still stream. Yes, I still stream. Ain't no way there,
What?
Josh stream. Yeah, it's been like four
Mm-hmm.
weeks. No, 3 months since I've streamed. It's been a little bit.
Oh, well,
Um,
glad I backed you into a corner, then brought you on
yeah,
here.
I've always wanted to stream more,
Mm-hmm.
like, but it's one of those things where like you're either getting stuff done or you're
Right.
streaming.
Right.
Like it's
Yep.
it's
Yep.
tough to do both. But my my
I tried to stream for the first time last week.
oh, nice.
I I don't remember what I was building. I don't even. I tried to do something. Um, and let me tell you, I felt like such a fool. Like I was on there and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do something that I'm familiar with doing so I don't look like, a doofus up here. And like immediately I'm a doofus. Like immediately I don't know what's going on. And
Oh
like
yeah.
people are like, do this, do this. And I'm like, oh, and you're like trying to keep up with the chat and trying to still like get something done. So I think like what I learned was you don't just jump onto to a stream without like a plan. Like it's okay to get sidetracked, but if you don't have like an idea of what you're trying to do that day, then you're definitely not getting anything done.
Yeah, that is true. Can I intro Will King? How about I'll let Will King intro Will King.
Intro
So
Will
Will,
King.
give a
Sure.
little intro for you before we get
Sure.
started.
So I am a design engineer at Crunchy Data. We do hosted Postgres, but also I just like hanging out on Twitter and became buddies with Josh and the Laravel community through like uh, a random series of events. I ended up at Laravel conference for like a single day and made a bunch of friends here in the Laravel community and got convinced. I'm a big React like TypeScript developer and got convinced that I should jump in Laravel and try out Inertia if I'm a big React fan, and I'd have a much more fun time on the back end if I didn't use JavaScript on it. So
Yeah,
I finally found a project that I wanted to do in
nice.
Laravel, and said, "Hey Josh, could you help me?" And then we just decided, why don't we just try to live stream me setting up my first Laravel project with Inertia and see what all we can get done.
Yeah, do it live.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
it's one of the things that I'm excited about is like for everyone who's ever watched a video of mine or like a stream kind of thing. Like I'm always excited to like learn new things, and a lot of what I think Will is gonna we're gonna like dive into is stuff I don't really know that much about. Like, I mean, I know I've built some things in Inertia. I've built some things with React and Inertia
Mm-hmm.
before, but it's not my specialty. Like ever since I moved to Laravel, I've kind of been in the live wire world, uh,
Mm-hmm.
just because it makes more sense with my head. But I never was a big type person. I never did anything in TypeScript. Usually, like if there
Mm.
was an option between TypeScript and JavaScript, I just chose JavaScript. So yeah, I think it would be cool to have this little project for you, and maybe like I'll learn something too. Maybe you'll teach me about Laravel, and then
Maybe.
I can just
I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like today, this stream will probably be extremely Laravel heavy. That is the hope. Just
that's
because I think, a lot of setup that has to go in. I came with like data models and
oh
everything.
there we
Like I'm
go.
ready to rock.
Let's do
And
it
I've
then.
got all the fun ideas for the front end, but front end is like one of the things where it's like you, you won't really get there until you got all your data go. Well, it depends. You can go from the front to the back or the back to the front, but today it feels like a waste if we don't start
Wait.
back to front.
Yeah. We'll just start with like the absolute basics. So why don't you said you had a Notion doc to like
I do. I
you
do.
want to pull
All
that
right.
up?
Let
Let's do
me
that.
see if I can present. Yes. All right. Share my screen. All right. Yep. 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 All right. We will start with entire screen or just the window. Let's do the entire screen just because we'll probably jump into code pretty soon after. Let me pull
Sweet.
this down here. All right. So Notion doc.
On air mark, legit learning Kotlin to write a PHP Storm plugin for custom attribute detection. See, that's where it's like if you have a project, I've always been this kind of like advocate of if you have a project in mind first, it's always easier to learn something if you have something in mind. Like the reason why I actually learned Laravel was I had a long running process that I needed, and I had never like used like a long running Node.js queue before. So I was like, oh, I'll just learn Laravel.
Josh, I just found out that to share my screen, I have to restart my browser. So
Oh, nice.
I'm a hop off,
You got
and then I'll
hop
come
off.
right
Be
back.
right back. Sweet. No worries. I'll chat with all of you lovely folks in the chat. Oh, DevBeard, being a Windows user, I was upset with the install and config of Laravel. That's sad. I'm sorry. Tried it yesterday. Sadness ensued. Were you using like Laravel Herd or like? Because I know Herd is for Windows. I'm not. I haven't been a Windows user in a while. Herd is kind of my go-to that just because it makes things easier. I know Laragon is a big thing within Windows. Which one were you using? Check both your mics volume, please. Yours seems to be a bit loud and our friend is too silent. Yeah. Once Will hops back in, let me adjust his mic. Is mine too loud or just right? Um, yeah, I heard. Okay. Yeah. I'm curious of what if there's something that just didn't work like with the PHP setup or was more of just difficult to do. Both sound fine to you. Will needs to be brought up a bit. Okay, we'll bring up Windows. I said Windows because I was like reading Windows. We'll bring Will up a bit when he comes back in. Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
Here we go. He's back.
Brought up as in like my volume.
Yep.
Is that what we're
I
talking
think
about?
I can.
All right,
I'm
let me
gonna
try to bring it up. How's that? Is that better?
maybe a little bit more.
All right. How's
Okay,
that?
talk
Is
again.
that better for everybody? There we
Yeah,
go.
I think that's good.
Cranking it.
That's good.
There we go. All right, let's try to share my screen again. We'll see if it works this time. Yes. There we go.
Let's bring this to the stage.
Ooh.
Bam.
All right. Boom. All right. So here is my Notion doc. So the project is called Made by Me. This is not the file because I restarted. So now we got to actually go to it. All right. Product is called Made by Me. And
Made
what
by
I
you.
have, the idea here is it's like a directory site plus like a membership, not a membership, like a newsletter. And I'm going to gather content that is like ways that which people have like made personal software, like software that doesn't feel bland or like design that feels like it was built only for scale, like ways that people can connect to software and it feels like it is made for them, made for me. And then like the tie-in with the newsletter is that like you can get these pushed to you every week versus having to like come visit the directory site.
Okay.
And just kind of like that's the model. And so it felt like the perfect Laravel site because there's like this admin side of it, which is there are these posts. And the posts, I need to be able to add like a heading, a description. I've got it right here. We got title, description. We'll have like multiple media files. People will be able to like them. There will be like people will be able to bookmark them at some point.
Hmm.
The source, so this would be like the URL for like the business that did the design. Preview image and preview video. These will be like editable in an admin for me. And then like long term, what could be fun is like allowing people to like put in their own submissions, and also like potentially getting like moderators. Like there's this like long tail of like how this can grow, which is why I wanted to build it into like a Laravel app versus just like some super hard coded type thing where I just like manually add all this stuff. So the I sent you like a list, and I wish I'd grabbed it and put it in here as well. Let me do that super quick. Grab it out of what I sent you. I have this like list of like what I think the order of events could be for what we could get done in a reasonable amount of time,
Nice.
and we will find out if that's the case or not. So this is what we're going to try to do. We are going to try and set up Laravel and Inertia. So whatever that looks like to just get like a brand new Laravel Inertia project going.
Yep.
And then I thought it would be good to just get like the basic data model set up. So like I figured that would be posts, media. We're not going to worry about like saving things with like bookmarks yet. We're not going to worry about like submissions. But we will need the idea of like users and roles, because like only an admin should have access to the admin panel. Everyone else should either be like not a user and be able to see public pages, or like see public pages as like a member or like a logged in person, but
Yep.
they still shouldn't be able to access an admin panel.
Yep.
And then like try to get the CRUD set up for posts.
Nice.
And let's see. That feels like pretty reasonable. And then like if we have some time, because apparently Laravel is very productive, get into like creating user accounts, and like maybe then we could try to see if we can like have a way that like user accounts can save their own bookmarks. So we'll see what we can
Nice.
do.
I like it. I like the plan. I'm curious because you so first time doing a Laravel project.
Correct.
You haven't touched it before.
No, none. I mean, I've been perusing docs and looking around. I think I watched the
talks.
Laracast a couple months ago.
There you go.
You know, so like I know conceptually what is possible,
Yep.
but I don't like the rubber has never met the road, and that's like when you get like punched in the face is when you're like, oh, this is not that hard.
Yeah.
So, and like
there you
one thing I will say, looking into Laravel, and why I specifically thought this would be interesting is like there are so many branching paths that you can take, because Laravel has like these packages, it seems like, that do a ton of stuff. And if the like what are the right packages to choose? And that felt like a ton of research and a ton of like effort to try and get over the hill of like, well, I don't want to start with the wrong pre-built thing and then have to try to switch it later when I find things about it that I don't like. So I was curious if like going this route would help me find out what packages, pre-built things that Laravel just gives you out of the box make the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let's get started. I like that you have a setup. Let's see in the comments. So we have unruly hot fixer. Yeah, I love me some Laravel. That's good. You're in the right place then. David, nice concept coach. There you go.
Thanks, David. Yeah, we'll see if the concept can follow through. I've got some really fun ideas. One of the fun things about building something that's like this idea of like personal software and like personalized design is that like the website then gets to have a lot of fun little personalized design details. So we're gonna have a good time.
And Vim user as well. I like this guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I tried to scale it up so everyone can see, and I just zoomed in on the Notion doc a little more for everyone.
Perfect.
Too. Hopefully
that works good. Yeah, let's get started. I think you already had installed Laravel Herd.
I do. I have Herd, so I can open this up. Okay, it's detecting a bunch of sites, but not all of them are
Okay. And
herd sites.
do you have the projects directory
Yes, I have a
in that as sites?
directory
Perfect.
plugged in. So
Perfect. So
it
what we
sounds
could do,
like I press this plus button.
yeah, you could press the plus button, or we could do it all in the
Okay.
terminal if you want. Since
Ooh,
you're
let's
an
do
NVIDIA user, we
terminal.
can
I like
just do
terminal.
that. If you
Yes.
type Laravel space new, and then we can create. There we go.
I would
Made by
assume
me.
project name. That feels
Yep.
pretty
Yep. And even if you omitted
self-explanatory.
that, it will prompt you for one too. So
Okay.
this is kind of like the basics of like that first question of Laravel Breeze versus Laravel Jetstream. Breeze is basically both of these have React with inertia options.
Okay.
Breeze is probably where we're going to be where we start. Jetstream is a little bit more opinion, a little bit more hands-on. It's basically what you would call like a SaaS starter if you wanted things like
Yes.
teams
Yeah.
built
I was
in.
looking into that.
Yeah. So like Jetstream does not include React. I don't know why I said that. Jetstream is just Vue and Livewire. So
Gotcha.
we
Cool. So
actually kind
definitely
of have to
Breeze
start with
because we
Breeze.
need React.
Yep.
But also, like, I think I would just prefer Breeze anyway because
Oh yeah.
I'm not. If this isn't a SaaS, and like by default, I tend to want like just enough done for
Yeah.
me without too much done
Yep.
for me.
And I start with
But we'll
Breeze
find
like
out.
99% of the time too.
Okay.
So React with inertia.
Would you like optional features? Definitely want. Oh wait,
Oh
what? Is there a way to go
yeah,
back?
yeah. You have to press like space to like multi-select them. I don't know if you
Ah,
can go back. We might have to
boom.
cancel out and start again.
Canceled.
There we
Do this
go.
again. All right.
There probably is a command for back. I just don't know it.
We're going to do that one.
And then
Inertia and
space.
TypeScript. I thought about
Um,
dark mode, but
You
I
probably
just don't know.
don't
I don't
want.
think I
Do
want dark
do you
mode.
want SSR for
It's
that?
a
Did you
directory
say
site.
SSR? I can't see actually.
Yeah, so I do want SSR because this is like a content play. So like it needs to. This is not like a SPA. It's very much a
Okay, I like it.
like
I like it.
gallery of content. So we want our content. Like there might be like it would make sense for the admin not to be SSR,
Yeah,
but like we definitely want that like those directory pages to be like server rendered for sure.
I like it. And I think it's a nicety of inertia is like it has SSR kind of like already set up, and
Yes, I'm
Breeze has
excited about
SSR
Inertia
too.
2 coming out. I watched like I'm a Remix user by default,
Got
which
it. Love it.
a lot of the things that Inertia was coming out with in V2 were influenced by a lot of features that like Remix kind of like brought to the surface that a lot of frameworks have started picking up on, and so I loved how it was looking and felt. It felt like the right time to start getting into this. I'm gonna assume Pest, just from like observations. Everyone loves Pest. Is that
Yep.
correct?
I like pest is the functional syntax version of PHP unit. So PHP unit is more like
Gotcha.
class based.
Okay.
So most people kind of like, especially newer to
Mm-hmm.
PHP, newer to Laravel, kind of are geared more towards Pest. So yeah, Pest is a
Gotcha.
good
Yep.
option.
Would I like to initialize a Git repository? You know it.
Let's do it.
Oh, all right.
This is the kind of content we need more of. I agree, especially knowing that I'm going to rely on Will for a lot of like stuff like types and even just how you would do. I know enough of React. React used to be the
Mm-hmm.
thing I built in. It's been about a year since
All
I've
right. So this
written
is
a project in React. I would say, oh yeah, you go.
we're gonna do Postgres.
You do what you
We're
need to
gonna
do.
yes.
You're like,
Default database updated. Would you like to run default? No. All right.
can write
The
it
reason
off,
why
right?
is we're gonna do
Use
something a little
Postgres.
different. We're gonna do something a little different here.
Okay, there you go.
You know, I work for Crunchy Data. One of the things that we like to do for our databases and what I like to do on all my like other like projects with the database is
Okay,
have like a cloud staging database or a test like a dev database.
very
And the
nice.
idea here is that like especially with teams, like that's like one of my favorite things about it. We'll just go ahead and get this going here as well. So I'm already logged into my Crunchy Data account over here. So I'm just going to create like a new cluster real quick for like a hosted one. So this is going to be made for me. and this one's going to be dev. We're going to do AWS. We're going to pick a US East. Since it's our dev, it doesn't super matter what our region is, but like the beauty about this is like in the production database, it doesn't matter where like our primary is. Like we can put out a bunch of read replicas for fast reads, but we're going to do our like it's like hobby instance. So it's like super cheap to get started with this. And what's so great about the hobby database, like how we do pricing, we only price based on usage. So like for a dev database, let's say like you're not really using it a ton. Sometimes you might be, sometimes you might not be, but like let's say your dev database is like not getting used. If your bill is under, I think it's $5, I believe. If it's under $5, you don't have to pay for it. So that makes it really nice as a dev database because it's like in the cloud. If I'm on another device trying to work on like a local project, like I don't have to remake all this data from scratch or have to like generate a bunch of new data. And also like it's great for our team because like for our team, like let's say I'm building a feature and like somebody else needs to test the feature out and everything, like they're already on the same database. They don't have to like get some sort of like migration or data set up pulled over to their like local. So it's like one of our favorite things to do. So I just went ahead and got that one going, and I'm gonna I'll plug that in once we get to like the connect your database start.
Right, sweet. Cool. Yeah. Why don't we do that now?
Laravel app is made.
Laravel app is made. It's scaffolded for us. We have
CD into
user
I named this wrong.
migrations made by.
That's okay.
Did you mean?
I did. But that's
made by me.
We'll solve it later. Made by me, made for me.
Oh,
I'm already getting myself confused on my own.
There you go.
On my own thing. All right.
Awesome. Let's take a look. We can get started with like the .env. Set up our database. I don't know if you.
Okay, so in this one, does .env go in the? Does this go into like the root?
It is the root. Yes, we should have one already scaffolded out for us. Do we not have it?
You're right. One sec. NVim's kind of weird sometimes where they hide the
hidden ones.
Hide the ones. Yes. So. That's like capital.
Will stream be saved? Yes, it will. So I'll keep this recorded afterwards. I might grab some things out as well. So
also, just for everyone who was like, "Yay, an NVim user!" I've been an NVim user for like all of like a week and a half now.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe 2 weeks if we're
2 weeks generous. More than I have.
So things will be slow. You'll look at me and be like, "What do you mean? Like, why did that take you so long?" The answer
were you a Vim key bindings user like in your previous code editor before? Or
no, I wasn't. Like I'm just completely jumping in here.
There you go.
And there's a lot of noise going on in here from warnings. But we'll see. We'll just keep going and we'll see how this all goes. Maybe I can turn these off.
Doesn't matter. We accept you as one of us. Trickham says. There you go.
All right. Well, we'll just pardon all the noise. What do we got going on next?
Yeah. So we could set it up to the database if you want to do that. Then we can run default migrations and create some models and run those migrations. That might be a good next step. Do you want me to hide the screen while you set that up? I don't know.
Yes, actually, that'd be great because I'll have to grab some.
Yeah,
some
you can do that. Screen being hidden. So while Will does that, I'll look at the comments. I can make a Laravel project live site in GitHub. So you can't really do it like in GitHub pages or anything like that, but you could take that and host it somewhere, like Laravel Forge, for example, or any server that you have. Yeah, most even like Laravel Forge or any like place that you're hosting is going to have the ability to do GitHub deploys too. So seeing if I missed any previous comments.
All right. We've got, this will be our host. Then we've got a database name and our user. All right, This says username, so let's make sure that matches. And password. Perfect. Oh, you know what's so funny? So, here, I'm gonna hide this real quick. Let's see if this actually works.
There's actually an arcane way to statically export your Laravel website, and then you can also, yeah, that's a good option. Check them. There are some packages that do kind of like, hey, just let's statically export this, and especially if you're using any kind of like flat files in their database, that might be a good option too. I have not done that yet within a Laravel project, but might as well. You could. The sky is the limit for how you build things.
All right.
Pair sometime soon. That would be fun, Mark. Okay.
My env set up. I'm going to go ahead and hide that one.
Perfect.
All right. I've got the env hidden now, so we should.
Okay. Bring you back in. Why don't we try? We can try doing like a migration just to make sure everything's connected properly. Want to do that?
The database is still being created, so
okay. So
why don't we
wait for that?
Yes. Why don't we look at so I figured where we would want to get started would be by defining data models.
Yep, let's do that.
Where does that happen?
Yeah, so there's a CLI which helps us kind of like generate those files and get them ready for us. But it happens in app/models is where the models are defined, and the migrations are going to be defined in the database directory. So the best way to kind of like get started, in the Notion doc, what was the first model? We can kind of look at that. And yeah, we can go through like the user to see as well what it's set up. Perfect. Yeah, let's do this post, and we'll kind of like walk through that. So if we go terminal, we'll go
command line.
Perfect. PHP. So anything that we're doing within Laravel is gonna PHP Artisan. Okay. Then we're gonna start with make :model. And then after this will be the singular version of the name, so post with a capital P. And then after that, we can type -m. And if we wanted to, so -m means a migration. So we're going to create a model.
Include the migration with it.
Yeah. And if we wanted to, like here is where we could also include like controllers as well, if we want to scaffold those out and be ready for us.
Can those be scaffolded like later based on like an existing model?
Yep. Cool. It can be done later. Usually I like to start with this and then go to it from there. For example, the -m, you could do a -mc, which would be a migration controller. There's also resource controllers, which kind of scaffold out the 7 like index, show, delete, store, those different functions.
Yeah.
And
if you have like does it detect if you have like an inertia setup, and do you know if it like knows enough to like scaffold out inertia specific things, or is it like general things that you then have to customize on top of?
Yep, the scaffolding doesn't really care about like where you're displaying it. So the only difference between if we are doing like a blade, which is the kind of like templating system for Laravel, if we're doing like a blade setup versus inertia, the only difference is we're returning a different view. So it's an inertia view versus a standard view. So the actual methods of the controller usually don't change. It's just how we're returning that data.
Gotcha. All right. That makes sense to me. Well, cool. So
sweet.
We'll start here.
Let's do it.
All right.
So I created 2 files, post.php, create post table. It's going to kind of takes that singular and just kind of adds a little S to it. It's more complicated than that for people who realize. But
all right, so we have a class that extends a model. I'm assuming there are some defaults on here, which would be like it like automatically knows primary, like it sets up some primary key on your model,
Yep.
that
So if
kind
we
of
go into
thing.
the migration file, this is where like what just for my own sake, like
Hmm.
kind of how do you interact with the database within your experience, like within JavaScript?
So in JavaScript, it's very similar, except like you're responsible for defining like everything. So
Yeah.
um, you can use Prisma or Drizzle. There's a bunch of them, but those generally are like the two ones that get used modern day.
Yep.
Um,
And
Drizzle's a
within
little bit more of like a raw SQL. Like its selling point is that like it's just like a very basic layer on top of SQL and feels very like it's type safe, but it feels like you're writing SQL stuff.
Yep.
Whereas Prisma tries to like, hey, let's make this as JavaScript as
Yep.
possible, and they started there and now they're moving backwards towards like allowing more SQL type stuff. But like the idea there is like it generates migrations for you, but you're still defining like every single field in a schema. Like you define the ID, you define all the fields, you define relations, created at, updated at, like every field you want, you have to explicitly say that you want that field.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the difference then within like a Prisma or a Drizzle versus like what Laravel does, or I guess most like MVC, like
Mm-hmm.
if in Rails or stuff like that, is Laravel's going to have like the migrations file for each specific thing. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
within Prisma and Drizzle, you just have like this schema file where like, hey, this is the
Right.
source of truth. Within
Mm-hmm.
Laravel, you have the model, which is basically how does my code interact with the database, where the
Mm-hmm.
migration is going to be what actually is created in the database.
Right. Running those on the database themselves. Yeah, that makes sense to
Yep.
me.
Yep,
Cool.
exactly. So we'll start with
So
the migration. That's usually my
it'd
first
be a
step.
safe to assume like we're gonna by default have an ID and like timestamps is what it looked like, and that's
Yep.
like the only thing you get when
Yep.
creating
That's the
just
only
like a
thing of like,
basic
hey,
model.
this is what you
Cool.
need for everything else. So yeah, we can start with just let's put all of this into our migration then.
Cool. All right, database is ready. Let's see. I should have tested this beforehand
Oh,
to
no
see
worries.
like I've never connected to like a Postgres database in Laravel, so we'll see how this connects. All right, so now
Let's
we
go
want to run a
to our
migration. We're gonna go to the terminal. I would assume again.
yeah, why don't we create the post, or I guess we could run the
Oh, that's fine.
migrations if we want to,
We
or
can
we
add some
could,
fields.
yeah, we
Let's
can
add
add
some
some fields
fields.
for the post.
Cool.
So yeah, in that migration, so we're not actually going to add them into the model. It's going
Oh,
to be just the
interesting. So
migration
like
file.
you interact directly with the migration.
Yep, exactly. And
Oh,
so
cool. Okay, I like that.
that's the biggest key difference, at least in my experience, from like going from like
Yeah. So like
Prisma to
the
Drizzle.
model does not need to know anything other than like when you're specifically wanting to like add functionality on top of your actual data
Exactly,
model.
you got it.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I like that. Interesting.
Yeah, so we can like after that ID, let's go ahead
Yep.
and we just do table. So $sign table, and then we can do oh nice. We have some uh
I'm assuming text would
yep,
be like a text field, and then I can just name it
and then
whatever I
name
want.
it for title. Yep, exactly. You got it.
Cool.
Yep.
And is everything a text field, or do y'all like deal like? Do you generally deal with like different sized? Let's see, like varchar or any of those. But it seems
This
to
is
all be. I'm assuming it's be char would be the other one.
yep. Char text string. That's when we need Aaron Francis in the chat.
Yeah. What are the
Chat.
differences
I
between
don't
these?
know. So like Turkham's saying,
I should
please use
probably know
string
a
and
little
not
bit.
text. Um,
Somebody said, "Please use string."
yeah. I honestly don't know. I know that there is a big difference. I think text is a larger set. So if we, especially for title, we probably would want text, or probably would want string.
Right.
Description, we probably are fine with string. Text is for massive blobs. Okay, I forget. Is it like 200 and yeah? So I think description and text or description and title are probably fine with strings. I'm guessing, unless you're
255
doing like a whole
characters.
blog
Yeah,
post
that's.
within.
I was about to say I'm gonna go ahead and put it as text
There you go.
because I would
Just in
rather
case.
have the ability to decide to make it. I can always make it shorter if I want to later, but it's harder to just go bigger. All right,
There you go.
let's see. We will title description. Let's go ahead and do what I'm going to do is I thought about this ahead of time. So like if I'm actually setting this up, I do know that I do want table, and table is going to be a string. Source is going to be a string, because that's just like a URL to like the company name.
Okay.
To the company itself. And I'll probably like pull that out later into its own table, like company, and be able to like create a relationship there at some point. But we're not going to get started there. We'll just make it a URL. And like same with like media and preview images and stuff. Like media will be its own table, and we will just like create a relationship. Media would be like has many media files, and preview image, preview video would be like a 1-to-1 relationship between the two, which we can figure out later. But this should be good enough to like get started.
Sweet. Yeah, and the good thing is with migration, so usually like within Prisma or Drizzle, for example, if you change anything, you just modify what you've already existed, what's already existed.
So in the
usually.
schema, so like instead of like changing a migration, you change like this singular schema source, and then you run a migration command, and it creates a brand new migration.
Got it.
Based on the changes that need to happen, which based on like the fact that it has like the up and the down here, I would assume you do the same. Like once you've pushed this to production for the first time, you're creating a new migration file to add columns to your table, instead of like going back and editing this initial.
Yeah. And of course you could like for example, if I'm building out and developing, of course you can modify it and then just run a fresh migration with everything. Sometimes that's better, but yeah, you always have that source of truth kind of thing.
Also, everyone's letting us know that if you use string, it is varchar, so we can change like the length if we wanted to. We could change the length. Generally doesn't really matter unless you've just got some. I'm not going to have any crazy database needs, like scale wise, to like need to lower the varchar. It's not going to be worth it. But that's good to know for sure.
There we go. Yeah, so if this is good for now, we can go ahead, and in this class, this is basically where we're saying, okay, what can the user interact with the database now? So there's going to be a protected function. So if we go protected, and then it's going to be now I'm like blanking as I'm doing it as I'm in my head, but protected. You could go fillable.
Okay. Oh, I saw this. So this is on the user one. It's just like the little variable. It's like a protected. And this is like based on what I'm seeing here.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Don't autofill that.
I didn't have your screen in front of me. Yeah, so it's going to be an array of specific options. And so what's basically here is like, okay, here's what the user can input when we interact with the database. So they can add a title, they can add a description.
And you would just add like the field names like this.
Yep, exactly.
And this is like telling. Inside the model, this is giving us whether we would be able to cool. Ooh, PHP, we care about semicolons.
Yes, we need that.
Definitely a change coming from JavaScript land. So this is like basically saying like if there are fields that like do exist, they may be like a calculated field or something, you would maybe hide those fields from like being fillable on a form. Like this explicitly says like this is the only type of data we're ever going to accept from like a client input.
Yep. What Peter is saying is to protect against mass assignment. So yeah, any time that you're doing, so there might be specific fields that you're adding to within private functions on the model, but those you don't necessarily need to have fillable. So all fillable is saying is um, within any kind of mass assignment for
Mm-hmm.
controllers
Right.
or
Right.
resources, this is
Yep.
what is allowed to be edited.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah. Let's run the migration, see what happens. So in
Okay,
our
let's run it.
terminal, we could do you still would I still call it terminal within like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we're in
So
Endem,
this would
like
be a
terminal?
terminal window. This view right here, this is called like a buffer.
Oh, okay,
Specifically,
there
it's
we
like a
go.
buffer window.
That makes sense.
It's weird. Tabs are not tabs in NeoVim. I learned that because I
Okay.
was like looking at the shortcuts and I was like, close the tab, close it. And it's like, it's not a tab, it's a window. So
Oh, there
this
you
is
go.
like a buffer. And then this is like, technically it's a terminal buffer, but like it's
Okay.
terminal. It's a
Okay, that
terminal.
makes sense.
So
So
we're
it's
going
going
to
to be
run.
PHP Artisan migrate,
Okay.
and then that is it.
Let's see if our database is happy.
There we go.
And it just works. Oh,
Perfect.
that's cool. All right. I love that.
So now what we can do, because we have herd installed, we can run, well, in our terminal buffer, we can run npm run dev, which kind of just gets everything set up for on the client side. Okay, yep, we have our post table. Sick.
Cool. All right. Sorry. What were you saying again?
We could run npm run dev just to get because the Breeze installs Vite and Tailwind.
Yep.
So we kind of have it available for us to have our project up and running.
Oh, might help if I actually.
There we go.
Right place.
It's like
npm run dev, not dev r.
there we go.
Okay.
Now if we
Cool.
go to madeby me.test in our browser, we should see everything kind of up and running.
Ooh.
There we go. So why don't we like
And since this
register
is
a new
Breeze,
user?
this what I'm seeing here is like the Breeze default state, and it gives
This
us
specific
like
this
login and
specific page
register.
is the Laravel specific state, but Breeze is the login piece. So
Gotcha.
without doing any kind of scaffolding or any kind of starter kit scaffolding, you
Right.
just have this page and
Not
nothing
these
else set up.
links.
Breeze
Gotcha.
includes
Cool.
any kind of JavaScript
Right.
for us, as well as Tailwind and authentication scaffolding. So we can go ahead and
Awesome.
register a new user and like
Dope.
what if you're creating a new post as a user in your application, are they doing it authenticated?
Yes. The posts can only be created by a admin user.
Or posts can only be
And
created by an admin user. Okay.
Yes. And I was looking at, let's see, let's go to the Notion doc full of stuff.
Let's do it.
I had found,
Hey, boy.
let's see if I saved it here. Yep. Laravel permission by, is it pronounced Spati?
Spotsy. Yep.
Spotsy. All right.
Spotsy.
So Spotsy seemed to be like what I wanted because it does RBAC. What up, Jason? Seems to do like RBAC role-based access control. So like that would allow me to specify like admin user, moderator, like roles, and then within the roles, like you can set permissions. So like those permissions would be like admins can create a post, update a post, delete a post, but like moderators might only be able to like create. They might not be able to like edit or delete or like something like that. And that's kind of like the model that I want to go with.
Got it.
So
yeah, and you can definitely do all of that within like a package like that. Laravel also does have out of the box things like authorization.
Well, let's start with out of the box. I like
Sweet.
that. Because I would assume it would not be too hard. I'd rather learn like stuff without a package if there are things that are just included in the framework.
Yep.
And then only jump to something more if I like run into like a weird case where it's like, man, this is frustrating or complicated, and I need some more like control.
Yep.
So let's do this.
Yep. Yeah. So why don't we register a user just so we have someone in the database, and then we can go from there. So if we register a new user, we'll be kind of kicked over into the dashboard itself. But yeah, Laravel out of the box for authorization has things called gates and then policies. And so those are kind of like two things. So in our user table, what we could do is add like a is admin function, or even in our user model, we could have. I've done
Yes.
this myself of saying like, hey, is admin, and then it's equal to your email, the one
Right.
that you signed
Cool.
up with.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the bootstrapped way of doing something like this.
Heck yeah. All right. Bootstrap way would, so what kind of, let's do bootstrap first. And if I want to like start adding like the real deal later, we can do that. But this will help us get started out the right way. So we want, I would assume it would be, all right, what's the difference? So coming from JavaScript, it's very functional. It is not class based. What is like private, protected, and public, I think, are the three different ways to define stuff inside of a class.
Yeah, you're asking the guy who came from JavaScript on some details.
Hey, you've been in here long enough. You should know these, right?
The
chat, you can help us out.
Yeah, help me out, chat, because I'm gonna fail. The public property. So if you're doing like a public function, is something that can be accessed from anywhere.
Anywhere.
So within
so I'd assume
code,
that's what we'd want.
Yeah,
we want to be able to call this from anywhere.
And the protected property can only be accessed within that class itself. And so for like an isAdmin, we probably want that to be a public function.
Sometimes this is like super. Allie would roast me for this if she was watching this right now. But instead of doing isAdmin, since my last name's King, I always like to say like, instead of like super admin or whatever, I just say like is King, because then it's like it's just me.
There you go.
All right. So is King. All right. Question. So how do I do? So if I want to reference
versus public function,
just
King. Yep.
All right.
Perfect.
If I want to reference the current user, because I'm assuming what I'd want is something that looks similar to, and might be very wrong, but let's pretend that this is what we want. Is there, okay, so in JavaScript, we've got like double equal and triple equal. And you always use triple equal. Is there like anything conceptually like that in PHP where like you have to be concerned about how many, like what your comparison operator is?
Yeah. It would be so usually within something like this, what we could do is we just want this to return true or is not true. So you could even just instead of this user email, you could just do return this email, because we're already on the user. And so we could return this email. And then, Yep.
And then semicolons again. It's going to get me every time.
There you go. Private is only available inside the class. Protected is available in anything that extends from that class. Okay, interesting. And public's available for everywhere.
Jesse. I think you know. NeoVim, by the way.
Comparison operators are identical to JavaScript. Triple equals makes sure it is identical both in content and type.
Cool. Okay.
There we go.
I like that. Let's just
see. This is actually the real reason why I stream, so that people.
Yeah, we're both learning. This is the best.
So I don't have to just pull up ChatGPT all the time.
King is not in camel case format. I'm assuming that matters. If I have a style, like I installed like a style guide.
Okay.
Like PHP. What is it called? I think it gets included in this. Where it's CS Fixer. Is that what it is? Yeah. Where it's like there are like some rules about like things you should care about. So is this saying like
that's probably that's probably one of the rules
should be camel case.
Yeah.
And then like obviously it's like, hey, we like comments. Cool. We'll ignore things like that because we're just streaming.
Yeah, the doc comment is probably referencing like PHP doc is kind of like JS doc in a lot of ways, where you're saying you have I don't know the exact difference between the return type and the PHP doc. I think the PHP doc tells what the actual I think it's double. I don't know actually the case of that. Who knows the difference in chat between
Yeah,
what
I
PHP block
imagine
is and
docs are
return
just
type?
like the docs are just like it's there because they want you to put it there.
Yep, yep. And I think most people use camel case for the function as well. So I think that makes sense.
Cool.
Um, I think your mic went to something else.
All right, am I back? Can you hear me now?
You are. I think it might be like your AirPods. They got
Oh,
switched.
it did. See, that's on you. I got crazy hands. I can't.
There we go.
Better. Is that back on my good mic?
Yep, we are back.
Cool.
Awesome.
Alrighty. I just my wife says she's a kindergarten teacher, so she's like early childhood development. She's like, "Will, you got missed out on being diagnosed as ADHD when you were little. Like you definitely have it." So like, I just, I that's like I notice that when I do podcasts or when I'm streaming or doing something, like I'll always want to like touch my mic or pull it closer or do something with it, and then it just messes it up. So I've
Yeah.
got to get better at not doing that kind of stuff. All right. So we've got our user that is king's going to matter later, but this should just work out of the box. Like if I come over here
Yep.
to our registration page and I say my name's Will King, I make sure that I get the right this. I'm not going to tell you what this password is. Ooh, here's an interesting thing. Will there be rules that tell me like my password's not strong enough? Ha, yes. Okay,
There you go.
interesting. So I will try that again. Boom. All right, logged in.
Boom.
There's a dashboard.
There we go.
Cool.
And so
Okay.
you're only wanting admins to access this dashboard. Is that would that be correct?
That is correct. So here's a fun thing that we can do. We could do after we'll just add like 2 to this so we know that this will fail. And then somewhere in this app is a place where I can like add something that says if is king and they try to access this route, redirect them to index instead or homepage or something.
Yep. Yeah. And might have to pull up where that is in Breeze specifically, but I would imagine it would be um in our app HTTP is where the controller is going to be for actually like login. And we can go into our middleware. And this is where we can
okay, middleware. That makes sense.
because we could probably do it in like two places. We could do like we don't even want them to sign up or register, and we can also do it in our middleware because we have an auth middleware out of the box.
Okay. Like this one.
And this is going to be
shared.
this is going to be a different middleware for handle inertia requests. The actual we might not publish the auth middleware now that I think about it. So when I say publish, what that means is like when we ever scaffold out, there's things that can be like in node modules, for example, that are just specific for a library.
Right.
I don't know if we publish it. I think we do. Let me see. Yeah, we could do like a login request or like a because you would probably want this in your registered controller.
Yep.
You don't want to
Yes.
register unless the email is specific.
Oh, interesting.
Or
I see what you're saying. So like you're saying like I shouldn't even allow like okay, theoretically, like starting out, I do want anyone to be able to register because registering, like they will register and they will be assigned as a member and get added to like the newsletter. So like I want people to become members by the end of this because I want them to be able to like things. I want them to be able to like save things that they like to like a bookmark and like for them to review themselves later in their account. But that those will be like separate pages from like this concept of like the admin pages.
Got it. Okay. No,
so
I see what you're doing. Okay, so let's do this.
It would be like it would be a middleware because it'd be like anything the way I think about it would be like anything that falls under this route group inside of this like auth group, we'd not an auth group, admin group. I would want to define a set of routes that were like admin and say must be king to visit these.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, let's do this. Let's create a new page in our dashboard. So up on the top, we can like add a new nav that will just be like, we can like call it the admin nav. And that way we can put in a gate that says like only this admin is king user can access that. Right. So if we go to resources, that's where going to be our front end files are kind of built out for us. The JS. So it's not going to be views. That's a little bit.
Oh, it's not.
A little bit different. It's going to be in the JS folder because it is JavaScript.
That is fair. That is fair.
And then pages, and we probably would want to put this in the components because there's a nav bar already set up for our components that we can kind of add a new page to go to. And so the nav link actually might be nav link, I believe is what it is. Let's see.
All right, this looks like
not
just
nav
like a
link.
component that we pass children to.
It's probably in the layouts. Now that I think about it,
it's probably
it might be in pages off too. It's been a while since I've scaffolded out of Inertia.
Authenticated layout.
There we go.
Here. Looks like we got nav link here, which makes sense, and it's got a link to dashboard. Dashboard is like a fine place. So what we're saying here is we want to add like another. Let's just like add one of these, and we're gonna call this route name admin route current.
Yep. So that is just saying there's an active prop that gets passed in.
Oh, if it matches this, okay.
Yep, it has that little underline afterwards.
Got it. Okay. And then
perfect. I think there's another place like for responsive if you want to, but yeah.
Let's call this way. This feels nice. We'll just go straight to posts.
And
that way we can like hide or show like the posts.
Yeah, I would say for slash, so that it's actually going to be a named parameter. So I would say admin dot posts, for example. So that would be the convention within Laravel.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say this is the post
so it's not
that's
like
under
a URL,
the admin.
even though it's href. It's like
it's
like a special parameter to these specific functions.
You've got it. Yep.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then that means what we want to do is we would add a new page.
Yeah, we could add a new page, so we could duplicate that dashboard page. Is probably the easiest, and just like modify it from there. And then what we'll need to set up is an actual route for us. So this isn't Inertia is not page-based routing in the sense that creating a new page does not automatically say, okay, now /posts is is it. We'll have to do it within our web routes file.
I'm sure there's some way to duplicate, but we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to create posts tsx, and then we'll go in here and we'll just highlight everything.
Thanks, Igor.
Okay.
Route middleware. Yep, I think that's going to be the option, Chirkum. Yeah, so I think what we could show is route middleware and then maybe even do a gate so that you only see that link if you are an admin.
We'll just start here. Cool.
Perfect.
All right, so we got a new page.
Let's go to our, it's going to be the web.php.
Okay.
Is where the routes are going to be.
Web.php, is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Route
So this
head.
is where all the routes are. And you
Ah.
can see here that so like that slash, it's returning this inertia render, and so that's basically saying, okay, when we
Mm-hmm.
access this, we're just wanting to return this page, and that middleware is an array that we can pass in. And so what we can create is a new middleware that's an admin. So that way we can pass it to this. So what we can do is we'll kind of, and we can add this. Uh,
Would it be something
we
like it would it kind of match the auth in that like now we would change this to admin?
Yep. And I would say we probably also want it admin and auth, so we could, and so within
Oh,
that
I see
we
what you're
could,
saying. So like this would be we would put this inside of here as like a sub. Is that how it would work? Is that how it works?
what you could do is do you could do the sub too. You could also
Or
do
is
like
there
a
a better
completely
way?
separate. It kind of comes down to personal preference. There's probably people who have stronger preferences than I do.
All right, chat.
Uh,
Do y'all have any strong preferences?
yeah, let's see.
What is the
Do you,
strong preference that I should care about?
do you
Do I
put
do it
another
separate?
middleware
So
group?
what's the separate way?
The
So
separate
like,
way would
how
be
do you
you
define
take out.
multiple? Would you put it in an array
Yep.
inside
Yep.
of
So
middleware?
you
Okay,
would take it out
I actually
and
like
put it
that
into
better.
array.
Yeah, we're
Um,
gonna do that. I
and
decided my own personal preference.
yeah, and it would be an array of both admin and auth.
Okay. Does the order matter? So like, based on the array order, we're going to run the auth middleware first, then admin after that.
The order probably does matter. I actually don't know. That's a good question.
Cool. I would assume it does because like there's my guess would be like admin.
Oh, you muted yourself. I think I can mute.
Again.
Oh yeah, your mic died again or reset again.
Yep. All right, I'm back. I gotta quit touching my mic, man. Let me tell you, this is gonna be like the running joke. Allie's gonna watch this back, and that's what she's gonna roast me on: is that I just can't stop touching the mic. Allie just replied to like the live stream tweet, and she goes, "Is this why you aren't answering my texts about packing the kids stuff for soccer tonight because I'm on this stream?" To which I will be replying, "Yes, sorry, didn't see the text messages."
See, roasting you live on stream is
Yes,
another
yeah.
check.
Oh man, she's hilarious. All right, so
Awesome. So,
I think order matters because
yep.
admin is
Jason
going to
confirmed.
assume, there we go. You're going to assume that like auth guarantees you have a user. That way, like you're not then having to like potentially have like a not user object when checking that function. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it like you can define. We can also define like in our middleware group of like which ones of those steps runs first too. Like if we had like a whole big group, like within auth, there's a bunch of different middleware that could happen too.
Yeah.
Um,
Gotcha.
yeah. So here's where we can put one route get, and we can call that we could call that posts or like whatever you want to call that for.
Okay. Question.
Yep.
If we are doing, so in this case, there's auth, the middlewares don't do anything to define the route, correct? So like if I change this to posts, like it's going to be made, what is it, made by me dot test slash posts. So like if I wanted it to be admin slash posts, I would need to add admin here because
Yep. Yeah. So that's what you're saying. Yeah. The admin middleware does not do anything for the actual href location. You muted again. Let's see. I cannot hear you. Yeah, I think your mic either like shut off or died. I can't hear you at all. Good evening, Christoph. Good to see you. Order matters. Thank you, Tito. Yeah, it's late for you, Christoph. I was gonna say it's afternoon in my time, which means it's late for you. Still no on the mic, at least on my side. I don't know if maybe I lost audio. Let's see. I don't think I did though. When I saw that you were live with the basketball coach, I was wondering what is going on here. So cool. Yeah, this is Will's first time writing Laravel, and he is throwing me in the deep end with Inertia. Still hear your sultry voice. Thank you. Thank you. I practice it every day. Infinite Scroll. Inertia 2. Inertia V2 coming out soon. I know Taylor posted yesterday, I think, like hopefully by the end of next week. That'll be awesome. I thought it would be in France. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I am trying to get Aaron. He's still recovering, I think, but I'm trying to get him on the on a stream soon. Maybe not stream, but I'm trying to do a recording with him. We'll probably stream it. He'll probably stream it. But we'll see when that happens. He's a busy guy. I think Will is trying to fix everything, so he'll be back on. So we'll turn this into a little Q&A. I'll answer any questions. Oh, Will is back. Here we go.
Sorry, I don't know what is going on. I guess I'm gonna have to get a new mic.
Oh no, that sucks.
It's just so touchy. Nobody likes a touchy mic. All right. So anyway, I was saying something that is not important, so we can just move on from that.
Oh, no worries. Admin/posts. Perfect. And then at the very end where we append the name there, that's what's going to be kind of like.
And this is that like what got passed into that link, like that function on the the nav link.
Exactly.
So this would be post dot.
I think we call it admin.post.
Admin.post. All right.
Chirkin, I've got to say, if this is Will's first time using Laravel, he's got to be a very clever person, asking all the right questions and great insight.
Okay. Yes. first time in Laravel. Thankfully, not my first time ever doing backend. So I've got at least some little bit of a leg up. I used to do a lot of Elixir Phoenix.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'm a big functional guy, but I don't know, something about Laravel. I think it's the people. I just wanted to come over here and hang out. This is where I want to hang out. So
did you do
if it means I got to learn Laravel and PHP, that's fine with me.
Did you do like Phoenix Live View type stuff, or was it?
I did. So I I was using that when it first came out. I built like this.
Oh, very nice.
So like you're a man who loves Jesus. I was building this app that I called Without Ceasing, where I was like,
nice.
It had like the ESV version, and you could highlight passages and add like comments to them. And like the idea was like you could like have friends and you could all see what like you're highlighting and commenting on passages throughout the Bible together. Yeah. And I was using Live View for that. And like I used like the TipTap editor and like did all this stuff to make TipTap editor work with Live View back when it first came out. And it was a lot of fun, but then, I just didn't, like when you don't use something for like an actual like work project, it just kind of falls by the wayside. And
Yeah.
That's what happened with Elixir and Phoenix. I got super
Yeah.
into to React because I was using it for like actual work projects. So I just wanted to get deeper and deeper into that.
There you go. That's cool though. I know that live view is heavily an inspiration that
Mm-hmm.
came Livewire in a lot of ways.
Yes,
I know
yes.
that it was kind of around the same time,
Yeah,
but yeah,
they kind of like they it's like they take concepts from each other, but they're still like fundamentally a little different.
yep,
Maybe
like
fundamentally the
specifically
same, but
tailored.
like in practice different. There we go.
Yep, yep, tailored for their package
For
for their
their
frameworks.
yeah, their ecosystem. Yep.
Yeah,
Light
uh,
mode my poor eyes. I was wondering if when I was going to hear
yeah.
that comment.
Actually, and then like your system settings is dark mode because then we have dark mode for the app.
Yes, we actually
There you
do.
go.
I never even thought about that. I'm a man. I'm a man of conflict.
Multi taste. Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
And then we can either create a controller or pass this in directly. So we can do one of two things.
Okay.
Why don't we create a controller? Let's
Looks
do
like
that.
it's got. As I say, it looks like it's got a controller, but I'm assuming we want to change this.
Yeah, because
So
we would
we want
probably
to
want
change
that
this
to be.
to like post controller or something.
Yeah, I would say that'd probably be like the best, like a post controller.
And you generally name these things singular. It wouldn't be like posts
Yep.
controller. Cool.
Yep. That is the preferred preference. And so we
Okay.
can, in our command line, we can type PHP
Oh,
artisan
that's
make
right.
controller.
We haven't. I was about to go like try and make it in the.
Yep.
But
You
we
could.
get to do.
But this
We get
makes
to
it
do.
easier.
Well, as I say, we don't need to. All right.
PHP
Make.
artisan make colon controller. And the good thing is, if you don't type anything after that, we press enter. It will give us some prompts for us.
Ooh. Okay. And then we would say post controller.
Yep.
Which type of controller would you like?
And we probably
I would
would
assume it'd
want
be a resource.
Yep,
It
a resource would probably be
feels
best.
like it's a resource.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious what all these other ones are, but we'll get there. We don't need to get into it right now. All right, what model should this resource controller be for? Ooh,
And that would be the
space, let me
post model.
select. Oh, I just start typing. Okay, cool. Post. Boom.
Perfect.
So now we're going to have a post controller in here somewhere.
And we probably have to import that into the web routes. It's probably why it's also
Mhm.
kind of banging on us a little bit.
Cool.
Perfect.
Okay. This is where it is. And then we've got to import it. Oh, you're so in that other. All right, we'll change to our other buffer. And ooh, let's see if we can do this. Let's see if it's got the extensions
You have
for
some-
it. Code, add missing import. Did that work? Did not. All right,
Does
cool.
not look
So we'll
like
just go up here and add it.
Yep.
Use app. I've got my this is day one with PHP Laravel, so my NeoVim setup is probably not the most ideal for it. But if we start writing a bunch of JavaScript React, then we'll
There we go.
things that are a lot nicer, not yelling at us as much.
Have a good one, Turkey.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and commenting. You had a lot
You'll be
of
following
good,
Will's
good
career
comments and
closely.
helps. Yeah. Well, don't follow too close. Wait till I get this all figured out a little bit first.
Awesome. And then what we can do is we can pull up the profile controller and kind of do like a look at what that is doing, so that we can kind of model it after the post controller, or the post controller after the profile controller.
Gotcha. Okay, so specifically, we're wanting there's an edit, update, destroy. I'm assuming
Yep.
the first thing we'd want is a create.
Yep, and first thing we brought is probably like the index too, so that way we're getting the view of all of the posts.
Okay, so here's where oh wait, no, that's right, because I would want to have like an actual index of these, which profile doesn't have an index.
I guess this would also be different because if you have a post, you probably have an index for users to see all posts as well.
Yeah, there's
as
like this like
admin.
idea of like the public list, and then there's like the like I think index makes sense. Well, I guess this is where we can figure this out. Okay, so index and show, I would think for this would be like specifically related to admin posts. And then what I think we could do is create like a feed controller later.
There you go.
And
Yeah,
like the feed controller can be like how we manage and deal with like pulling posts and filtering posts and what we want to do for like the public feed, quote
I
unquote.
like that.
That way it can still have its own concept of like an index and a show, and they would be very different from like the post controller index and show.
Yeah,
And then we
no,
wouldn't have all the other stuff like create and such.
yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. So
Cool.
in our index, what we can do is we can return
Okay.
an inertia view. And so this will be similar to like what is in our web route already. So we can return inertia. Yep. And then it's going to be colon,
Colon, colon.
colon, view.
Okay. And then redirects.
Sorry, not
It's just
profile
return
controller.
view.
Yeah,
Oh, is this
that's gonna be different
that's a
in our
regular old view? Okay, gotcha.
in our web routes. The web.php one. Let's take a look at that.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
inertia render. Might be inertia render.
Inertia render.
Inertia render. There we go. Yes. So it's going to be
Oh,
inertia.
so that's what this. So what you were saying was like you can have a controller, or you could just call it straight up. This is like the idea of calling it straight up without needing a controller.
Yep.
And then basically what we're doing instead is like we're pulling this part out and putting it
Yep.
inside of our controller.
Inside of our controller
So
itself.
it would be instead of view, it'd be render, and then we would call it.
I think we just called it post. So this would be like the actual name of the file that we created.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna close this buffer. That way I can see this one. Things are so zoomed in. Okay, cool. So do you have to? So what do you put in here? You put in like the.
This would be the name of the file that we created. And so that would be posts, like capital P.
Oh, okay.
So this is basically just
Oh,
telling
this is saying like
Inertia
render
which
the
specific file.
the page.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, and it always is going to be a page.
Yep. It will always be a page. The second parameter of that render can be anything we want to pass to that page.
So like when we pull all of our data, what
Yep.
gets passed in is like initial props into like the page component.
You've got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. And then so now here, what we would want to be able to do is say, and then we'd want some way to like pull all of our posts.
Yep. You've got it.
How does one pull all of their posts from the database?
Yeah. You could do capital P for post. And so this is going to be like the ORM of Laravel, which is eloquent. So you have post. And yeah, I wonder if, does that bring that in, that import? Okay. We are using that models post. So we should be good there. And then it'll be colon, colon. And this is where we can use kind of any queries for it. And we could just say all,
Okay,
for example, and that's going to bring in everything.
cool. Is there a way to, does all have like any concept of like limiting and pagination?
Yep. So you do have the ability to paginate. And so within that would be just post paginate. So basically,
Gotcha. Okay, so like this, it would be here.
yep. And you could pass in a specific number that you would want to paginate
Gotcha.
for. Yep.
Okay, cool. We can start with all though. All right, so all, and this will just give me everything.
Yep. That
Cool.
would just give
And
you everything.
If I wanted to filter what fields came back, so like obviously I don't want to return everything because like I don't want all of the media files in the future. Like I
Yep.
just want to selectively I want to select just like title, description, or something maybe to start out with, and ID.
Yep.
How would
And
I?
so, yeah, you can kind of you can either use the select method and say, I want to
Mm-hmm.
select these specific fields and get them. You could also pass it into an array of all too, saying in post all, I want an array of specific columns. So like
How do I
ID,
do that?
title. So in that all parameter, so in those,
Mm-hmm.
you can just
I'd
create a
pass.
new ID. Yep. And that would be the columns. ID, title, description. Perfect.
Oh, okay. 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 Okay.
And then you
Very
could
cool.
just make sure you have a semicolon there.
Semicolon at the end. Classic.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a running joke for me.
One cool thing within Laravel that's also like
Mm-hmm.
neat for passing things, because inertia is you're just passing things to that view file. One thing
Mm-hmm.
is specific like API resource, which is basically saying, okay, anytime I grab all the posts, I'm
Mm-hmm.
only ever going to want the ID, title, and description, usually with
Mm-hmm.
an eloquent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you could tell it once, this is what I want, kind of thing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what I looked at like with the Spotsy Laravel data package.
Hmm.
That was like what I was looking into, where it's like, okay, I can decide like what are the different data types that get passed to and from TypeScript,
Yep.
and that like automatically sets those up for me, which I'll do at a different. I'll like, those are all the niceties to have later on. But yeah, that's probably what I would want to do here, because there's going to be this like concept of like there would be like a post detail, a post, and then just like a post summary or something like that,
Yep.
and then like a feed summary and a feed detail, those kind of things.
Yep.
Cool.
I like it. Yeah. And so then after the second parameter of inertia render is where we can pass in that posts
Mm-hmm.
array.
Gotcha.
So what we would do is it kind of takes an array for that. So it would be a comma after posts and then an array. So the brackets.
And is
And
this an
then,
associative array?
yes. So like, yeah, it would be posts. Yep. You got it.
Okay.
There you go.
I
So you know
did. I
PHP.
know some PHP because
You know
I
PHP.
used to do WordPress. That was like
There
the
you go.
first 7 years of my career was a bunch of
Okay.
WordPress stuff, which I'm so glad to be out of, especially with what's been going on lately. But but
See, I never
it's
even
probably like
did.
why I avoided Laravel for so long, was just like all the PTSD from.
Uh, I never even did PHP before I touched Laravel. I mean, I had
That sounds
modified
nice. When you
WordPress
have like no
themes.
preconceived notions of like what
No,
PHP could make you feel like.
yeah, I didn't write PHP. I modified
Right.
PHP because I had like specific themes that I was building or like modifying. So I was like, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
I take this and do that, but like I don't really count that as writing PHP. I just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
move some things around, copy paste, that kind of
Cool.
stuff. Yeah, so why don't we try in accessing that post? We should have
Yes. Let's
everything,
do it.
I believe, to access
I
it.
think so. I think so. So we want to go to dashboard,
I'm wondering if it will throw it because we
posts,
don't have a middleware.
internal server error.
Okay, yeah.
Target class admin does not exist.
Yeah, we don't have the middleware actually created yet.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's make a middleware.
Let's
Is
make it.
there like a generator for that, or do you have to like write
There
your
is.
own? Ah. Yeah.
There we go.
All right. PHP. All right. This is so nice. Is it make? And then
Make colon middleware.
middleware.
Yep, and we
And
can
then
just
if I just hit this, it'll like, okay.
prompt us for it.
So this would be, I saw that. Okay. So ensure, is there like some naming convention that you should?
I don't even know what you would do it for admin. I think you would just call it admin. I
Cool.
could be off on
We'll
that.
find out.
Or ensure admin. Maybe who knows? Who knows? I
We can
don't.
figure it out later.
A lot of people figure out that I just because I'm new to Laravel, like I write Laravel like a JavaScript developer.
JavaScript
Always.
person. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
then like, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Then I'm glad I asked you, because then you get me. We can get each other.
Oh yeah. Usually I'm like
Handle inertia
I'm just gonna write it the way I want, and then if I need to
Yeah.
change it, I can change it later.
I wonder if Oh, that's the rename. That's really not that hard. Okay, cool. And so inside of here, we would want to do, let's close it up so we can actually see what we're doing. We'd have the handle. So inside the handle, I would assume this is where we would be like,
We can do our
check is this. We'd have to
Yep.
instantiate
So
user.
usually I would assume probably the best thing is in with before that return. So this is basically saying returning the next request. I would say we could do it like an if. And because we're already doing auth middleware, we don't have to do an auth check. Usually you would probably do that within, you could say, I want to make sure they're authenticated too.
Right.
But since we're authenticating in the middleware group itself, we could do if, and then we could just go auth. So this is going to be a capital A for a helper. And then it's going to be : user. And then that'll be like a function. So like parentheses.
Oh, okay.
And this is where we can pass that method, the is king.
Oh, okay.
And actually it'll be like an additional parameter, not parameter, additional like function. So it'd be like an arrow.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I've never seen that before. So like auth, it's okay. So : is like, it's a static.
Yep, you got it. Facade
method.
Is what Laravel calls it. Yep.
Okay, facades. Okay, I need to ask ChatGPT what all those things mean, because I was like looking through it.
Too.
That's like the thing I think that is going to be the toughest. Not the toughest, but like the biggest learning curve for all this is like I understand like all the concepts. You know, like I understand a back end. I understand like getting data from your database, doing things that you need to in the controller to send them to your front end. Like all that stuff makes sense. I think what's going to get me is all of the like PHP isms of like thing like class based anything, because I'm very functional, like I said. So it's like I don't know anything about classes or like things being protected or static or private, even though they have classes in JavaScript. You know, you don't really use them. Sometimes you do, but you don't really. So
and that's what I'm trying to learn better too, because like now a lot of people are coming out to me like, hey, like what does this mean? Like, do you do this? I'm like, I don't really know. Usually the way I learn is I'm like, okay, I saw this done this way. I don't exactly know the name for it, or like, okay, this is what it's called in PHP. I just know how to do it. And then
that makes sense.
Outside of the if was where we can return.
This
and we can even return like
a redirect.
We could do return. Laravel has some helper functions for us, so we can return abort. That'd probably be the best way to do it.
Would it be capital A abort or lowercase a?
Lowercase a. So this will be a global helper, so it's not one that we have to actually import.
Okay, abort.
And yeah, so it looks like
give it somewhere to go.
Yep. So the first parameter, so it looks like in that helper is what it's showing us. First parameter is a code. So we can say like 403.
Ooh, like unauthorized.
I actually don't think you have to put in that code parameter. I think that was a type.
Oh, helper. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was. Still getting used to any of them. All right, 403 message.
And this is the message. Yeah. It's nice that you have those helpers. I don't even think I have those in my. Actually, I think I had minimized them for recording. And
yeah, that's lesson learned. Before I do something like this again, I need to look up all this stuff to get everything set up the way, like, have just the right amount of errors. Like errors are still good, but like only show things that are not whatever all this other junk is that's in here. That's annoying.
And I think we need to import the auth helper. So that's the. Now I'm gonna have to look up the full namespace. Okay, it's use. Perfect.
All right, auth not found. Let's see. There's got to be. I'm gonna just double check this one more time. We want to add missing import. It's not going to want to do that. We tried that already, and it didn't know how to do that. Let's go after. Let's do this and see what we got. All right, is it Illuminate?
There we go. Yep.
Boom. There we go.
There you go. There we go.
There's got to be some shortcut for that. All right. Is king does not exist on user?
Sometimes PHP actor doesn't.
No. Gotcha.
Yeah. At least like I use PHP IntelliFence, and sometimes some of those methods, I don't know if we have to like PHP like if we have to PHP doc them or something like that. Sometimes it just doesn't
Maybe that's what
pull
it.
those
Yeah.
in.
Okay. Cool.
But let's try
I'll ask
accessing the post
some
again because this
admin
should
people, see
return
what the best way
false.
is to get it set up. That is correct because. All right. So now this is created.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific? So okay, let's go back to the web. That's not what I wanted. This one. All right. How does it know what this is called?
Yeah. So within,
there's no like what's the connection between the string that's passed into this array and like the middleware that I just made?
yeah, within that, I'm trying to think. I think we have to tell it. Yeah, the first thing we would have to do it in the kernel.php, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
So this is where we register middleware. Kernel. It's not. This is Laravel 11. So let me. I always forget like the exact name of where it is now. Bootstrap app.php.
Bootstrap app.php. All right, let's close that. And we'll go bootstrap app.php.
The bootstrap / app.php. That one at the bottom there.
Oh, okay. You had it. I just didn't see it. Boot. Okay. Let's just go here. Where is it inside of?
The bootstrap directory. So underneath app at the top.
Yep. And that's not what we want. There we go. And with middleware.
Perfect.
Let's see. Inertia, add links, application configure, web commands, health.
And then in the with middleware function, what we can call is so instead of middleware append, because that's just saying for any web request or appending a new middleware, we're going to afterwards. So after that middleware web one, we're going to create a middleware arrow alias. Perfect.
Okay.
Then this is going to be pass in an array. And it's going to be first the name. So this is where we pass in that name of admin. And then it's going to be an arrow function, or arrow, I should say, not function. That's completely different in JavaScript. And then this is where we pass in the actual, we can pass in the full path or the import, but yeah, app/http/middleware.
Now, was there a shorter way to do that, or is this the short way?
Yeah, if you import it at the top,
then you could just say admin or something.
You can be like admin : class, for example.
Oh, let's do that. Because we'd still need to do : class after this.
Yep.
Got it. I'll do that later. Cool. Okay.
Perfect. And then
so we
after
here,
that should be a comma after class.
Yes. Classic. Oh, wait. After this?
Yep.
Why is that?
I actually don't know if you need to, because it's one array. Yeah.
Internal server error. Return value must be of type Boolean. False returned. So it worked because it does not match. But what we want is like a redirect instead of like an error.
It's because of it's not a Boolean. So if we put return false.
Okay. Let's go to, we want user because that's where it's at. Return. How do we make it Okay, so in JavaScript, this would just return a Boolean.
Yeah, that is true. Now I'm thinking about why is it not doing that?
Is it because we used abort? No, it's a type error. Use return value must be of type at models Boolean. False is return. False is a Boolean. Don't tell me that. No body data. Interesting.
Yeah, because you have 3. Yeah. Why is it not?
Let's see if we
It
like
said false return
explicitly.
though, right?
Let's see if that equals that, then that equals that. Let's just very explicitly say that. Let's see
Oh,
if
it's
we get
not
the same
that.
error.
Thank you, Heaven. It is a bool, not boolean, for the return type.
Oh, okay. There it is. My TypeScript is showing.
And my lack of types is showing. Like,
Right, like you don't normally. You would have just left like the return type off of that.
yeah, I
There we
sometimes do
go.
return types. Most of the
403.
time I
You are
don't.
not the king.
There we go.
Well, cool. Okay, so then that's okay. So that's still like an error. We can get into this later. Maybe it's something else. Maybe y'all can send me a link for this. But let's say, for the sake of later on, this is not important now. But I want to like if somebody tries to go there, we want to like capture that error and be able to like put it in like a flash message, but still redirect them to like a different page.
Ah, yep.
That's like the experience I would probably want there is like
Yeah.
they try to go to some route, I redirect them to the homepage and be like, that's not allowed, friend.
Yep. Yeah.
But
And
okay, we're good.
yep,
Now we can
Laravel
go
has
over
like
here.
sessions already built in. So what we could do in like our middleware is saying, okay, return with a session message. You're not the king kind of thing.
Right. Gotcha.
And then in Inertia, what we could do is just check if there is a session on anytime anyone loads the dashboard. If there's a session, show that, flash that session message.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense to me.
Hey, Michael, good to see you. Yeah, why don't we do? Let's see. Do we want to? We could either create like fake data and start displaying that in our React, or we could have the CRUD function of actually creating the posts.
Let's do CRUD function. I think that would be interesting, because the displaying stuff might be interesting, but it would take a while to get there. I think.
Yep.
Because I'd have to like populate a bunch of data first, so that'd be more interesting if I populate that data later.
Well, Laravel does have factories where we could seed all that information. We could fake it all.
Interesting too. All right, I think I still want to do CRUD stuff, but I'm going to keep that in mind because I want to do that at some point too. All right, post controller. All right, here's where I was like, there's some issue going on because it was redirecting me, and it's because we want this to be the index, not the edit.
Yep.
And now it will work. Cool. Okay, posts. You are logged in. We also want to go back to pages and go to posts. Oh, that's not what I want. All right, we want to go to posts. And okay, so now we're here. We want this to be, we're going to change this to posts. We'll just call it posts. And then I want this to be, all right, so we're going to get past something as a prop. You're going to tell me how to find these props.
Yep.
To get like the page level props that we want.
Yep.
But if posts length exists, then like, oh, here we're going to say, we're going to add it in a minute. We'll show all of those at some point. But for right now, what we want to do is we're going to change this. This is now going to be not a nav link. I would assume it would just be like a regular link. I think there's a link component. Yep.
Yep.
And href maybe. And then we'd probably want to be doing the same thing, which is like, I don't remember what it is, but it's like route something.
Yep,
And like
that's Ziggy's route helper. Yep.
This would be
The name of that
post
route.
dot create. And this would be like create post. And then delete that one. And now all right, how do we access our like page level props that get passed in?
Yep. So if we push them as props to that posts function,
It should just be available as like a
it will
regular
be available for us. Yep.
thing would be. Cool.
Now, how to type those, I can't tell you that, but
That's what the DTO would be for. So we're just going to, we're not going to have any nice types for these yet, so we'll have to make it ourselves. But it'll be index ID string, title string, and description string.
description has been spelled, just so you know.
Thank you. And that's exactly correct, because this would be posts array. There we go.
Perfect.
Right, so, and then like in the future, like I will be adding the Laravel data, which will give us like a type that we can import that got auto-generated. That would just be like post summary array kind of thing.
And that just has in
But
one place, right?
Right, exactly.
That's
It
nice.
like it generates like in the root of your project, it will generate like a generated types file that you can then import from. So that'll make that nice. All right, so
Perfect.
now if we save this, because we don't have these, it should just.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
probably
wonder if it's because the route doesn't exist.
Yep, it's probably it. Like I bet there's a console error.
Yep, not in the route list. Cool.
There we
Okay,
go.
easy peasy. So we'd go back here, and we'd want to go to a get. It would be a get again.
Yep. Git /admin/post/create probably.
Yep.
I'm not great at cruddy by design, like the whole.
Yeah, it'd probably be like new or something, but once again, who really cares what it's called? If
No
people
one
care,
cares.
they can tell it us in the chat, and then we can care for them.
I would just have like the create post on the post page. That would be
Yes, I mean that's definitely not a bad idea.
yeah.
If I did, I think they will get fairly complex eventually, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and give them their own page now. Actually, now I just want to like... okay. I'm not going to get into it yet, but I'm going to go back through and remove the admin part of all these, because
There you go.
now that we decided it's going to be like posts that...
It's gonna be like a feed.
Yes, it's going to be like feed. Then like
Semicolon, yeah.
There's a difference between them, so that will make us happy. All right, so
And then
that means that this
we
is
call that
completely the
post.create.
wrong. Yep.
Yeah.
See, you could just, my mind was already like, who cares about admin? All right, create post is a very ugly link, but we'll also need to create a new page, correct?
Yep. Create a new page and probably add something into our create route or controller as well.
Also true. Got to return that render.
Yep.
The render. Okay, so we want to add posts create.tsx. Maybe. I'm sure there's like better. Let's see what. I bet post folder, like that's why there's this folder situation here, because then you can say like create index, all that kind of stuff, which we will do at some point for sure. All right, but for now we're going to go to post controller, and inside of this function, we are going to say return inertia render post create. And here's so this is where things could get interesting.
Yep.
All right, so that's saved. We should be able to go here. Now, why is it mad at me now? Check the render method of inertia. Type is invalid.
Post create.
Oh, that's why, because I made the page, but I didn't put anything in it. Obviously, that's a good way to. So we'll just yank all that and go to post create. There's not going to be any data. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. We want to delete in parentheses. So that was right. All right. And then there we go. Authenticated layout header. I don't even know what that's going to be.
That is like that little
Create. Oh, the head. Is the head like the title of the. Oh, so like now the tab is called create post, but this is the actual element. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. All right.
Yep. That's
Create
part
post.
of like the
So-
layout that Bree scaffold is.
Yep. All right. I've got like 5 more minutes.
Okay. No worries at all.
So, can we make? How easy is it to
Let's
make
see.
forms in Laravel?
It's pretty easy.
Okay.
Because Inertia gives us a form helper.
Cool.
So that's helpful. So in this page on post create, what we can do is
Okay.
let's set up the form first, and then we can have a store route that we push this to. So we're going to import.
Now there isn't anything that we need to do in the initial like create controller method to like set up anything for like obviously if I want to do something custom or something, sure, but like there's no like something you need to have ready for forms to work on a page.
We would just have to, in our controller in the store, basically just say in the store function is where we're going
Yeah,
to.
because that's
post
like the
this to.
post to store. Okay.
Yep. So we do have to set up a route. We kind of
Right,
three
like a
things.
post route.
Yep. Post
but
route
nothing
and our
on the
controller do a store method, and then this
Cool.
do the actual form.
Makes sense to me. All
So
right.
in here, if we did the form, it's going to be the import use form from Inertia JS/React.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be, actually, it's going to be destructured data first. So like const
Yeah.
data, set data, post.
Set data and post.
Processing. We have processing errors. Like we don't have to go into all that, but
Gotcha. Okay, so data is like all the fields. Set data lets us like pass the field name, I would assume, and like the value that's being changed on the input to set it. And then
Yep.
post is like we would call that in like a callback function on submit
yep.
for
So in
like the
use,
actual form.
yep. So in the use form function, we could destructure that into an object of like our actual fields. So that would be like the title and description.
Mm-hmm. The data, is that what you're saying?
Yep. Or in the use form function itself, right up there.
Oh, like I could just straight up pull. Let's go. Oh,
And so that way you don't have to set up any like use state or anything. The form helper helps us
Yeah.
with that.
okay. So like, why is this being weird? Okay. Insert. I could just pull off.
It would actually be in the use form, like in the use form function at the end. So that
Okay.
then past that, like the curly brackets, so like for an array, or yeah, and then that's where you could do title colon.
Oh, like
You could like
default values.
default values. Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. Okay. I think source was the other one.
Yeah, source.
Cool.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay, so default values.
Then we would just need a submit function.
Mm-hmm. Is there a special like form? Do you just use like HTML form? Is there like a form, an
I think it's
inertia
just
form component?
a function itself. So it would be just like like function submit.
Well, yes. Sorry, I just meant for like still get myself tangled up in all of this. All right, let's go back to here. Okay. So yes, there's a submit. We would call a callback here. And this would be where we would call post, and we
Yep.
would
So
pass in.
for my reference, what would callback do?
So for use callback, so use callback is like a way of basically saying like, if you just assign a function to submit in
Okay.
JavaScript in React, every time your component re-renders, that function gets made all over again.
Okay.
Which can cause like a performance issue in your React
Interesting.
code. So you use callback for functions that should only change if like certain variables change. So in this one, like we would basically
Oh, your mic just crashed again.
all right. Can you hear me still?
Yep. You're on a
Okay.
different mic, but it's fine.
All right. Am I good now?
Good now. Perfect.
Callback basically it's like a performance. It's like a performance thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Where like if you want to make sure this function does not get reinstantiated every single render, then like pass this dependency array and we will make sure that like it's performant as possible, basically.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so we have URL, which I would assume would be like, in theory, when we do.
So this wouldn't
would
be.
Would it be similar to this?
This wouldn't
like
be
the post
named. So
dots?
I don't believe we can use like the Ziggy naming here. It would just
Okay.
be like the slash itself.
Okay, so
there might be ways to use it, but yeah, the full
cool.
route.
We can look into that. But it would be like admin posts create.
Yep.
Would it be method? No, because it's already post. We don't have to tell the method.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. And then does this automatically just send whatever the current data is, or do we have to pass the data in?
Yep. Nope. That is it. As long as the in the form itself that we're creating, like in the HTML, where we put the values as data dot title, data dot description.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm assuming we just use regular form.
Yep. You're correct.
Cool.
And we don't even have to use any kind of method. It would just be, I mean, you probably could, but we could also like prevent default on that submit if we wanted to.
Okay. So that makes it like it makes it not real. It makes it like a, by default, like a Ajax request instead of like a standard.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So this would, you're saying, so then what we would do is, and then we'd have to prevent default on all of these.
Yep.
Ooh. And then call submit. Got it.
Yep.
Here is where we would do all of our fun stuff of saying title. I'm just going to add a single field for right now, just so we can get something that renders, and then I got to run. But this should be enough to get me going for sure, and be able to type text. Now, I'd assume we'd want value to be data title,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then
Exactly.
on change, or does it
Yep. On
like?
on on change is where you can set in that set data. So you could do on
Yep.
change
Okay, that's what I
e
thought.
equals set data. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I might do something. I'm gonna have to look some stuff up. So there's a few things that like there's a few things like as a like a React person that I don't like about this.
The
Um,
inertia form helper specifically.
yeah, like just like like this is what is like defined as like controlled forms. So
Okay.
like JavaScript is managing the values of all of these forms. And one thing that I like really like about like Remix specifically on the front end,
You're just doing
how it connects
straight
is like,
HTML.
yeah, you're just doing like regular forms,
Yeah.
and like it knows how to like pull the values out. Like it just tracks everything by default. And what they do is like they have a custom form component that knows how to like pull all of that and behind the scenes send that off as an Ajax request first.
Hmm.
Like they do like all the spa stuff for you, if they can, but then it allows you to like fall back to just like a standard form submit if like it's got like that like what is it, progressive enhancement thing where it's like it tries to do an Ajax request that doesn't reload the whole page for speed purposes, but it falls back to just like a standard form submission.
Yeah.
Who is which it, when it's like JavaScript's disabled or like if there's some issue, like the form submission still works. It's just like a regular old HTML form submission. Whereas like when you do this route, it's all JavaScript. Like there's no like using the web form submit stuff.
Yeah.
Which I want to say like I saw something about that with Inertia 2 changing how that works.
Yeah. I
But
think,
I'll have to look into it.
yeah, from what I know about Inertia, a lot of the changes, well, while it's not like that going to be that out of the box, it helps push it to that direction in the sense of
Yes, yes.
SSR and stuff like that. Because like right now, you could do that and you could like build it out yourself, but it's not any kind of helper
Right.
functions currently
Yep.
for that.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'd be curious to like try and dig into. Also, I just made that up. I don't know if that's right or not. What's the set data?
Yeah, set
E
data be
title.
like
Or is it an object? What's
set
our set data
data.
function?
Yeah, e target
Look
out.
it up.
Oh, no, oh, it looks right, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you have on change. Yeah, on change equals the.
Uh,
No, it's because input isn't closed off.
yeah. I mean, who closes their tags? I mean, is that really even needed? LOL. All right.
That was a crunchy roll where Will works. Not sponsored, by the way. I guess maybe like kind of sponsored because Will works there, but not really
Yeah,
sponsored.
not sponsored. I just
This is a non-sponsored stream for fun
yeah, this
because
is
Will.
yes, 100%. Okay,
Bam.
there we go.
You have a title. There we go.
Title. And then let's say that we wanted to have this be like default. Now if we reloaded, it would be default. Okay, cool. I like that.
Love it. Yeah, and then like
And then now it's just like my prerogative to like add the
there
stuff,
you go.
style the stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
you would have one page in your web routes that's like our store request that's directing to the store request on the controller. Then the controller, the cool thing with that is you're basically just getting the whole request as an object within our post controller, and you would say post : create request. And that's where you could also server side validate it as well, saying
Gotcha.
okay, the
Okay,
title
like
needs
that's
to
where you
be.
would want to run all of like validations on things. Cool. Okay. Well, where this is going to get fun is I'm going to be on. I'm going to try and share as much of this as I go about it on my own as well.
There
Mostly
you go.
because I'll probably need help along the way, and so people can just like pitch in there. But also like as I'm figuring stuff out, I'll be doing I'm gonna store all like the images and media in Cloudflare R2, and so
Very
there's
nice.
gonna be like some wiring up of like media upload through form and React type stuff. So lots of stuff to be figuring out.
Yeah, and Inertia has
And
some
then
like
does this did
uploads.
I
Oh,
read this correct that Breeze comes with Tailwind
Tailwind.
by default?
You're correct. Yep.
Oh, yay. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, now I just get to do the fun of like going back to all my projects and pulling in all of my favorite components into here, and so things look nice.
Yeah. Are you a Shad CN person then? Or are you something else?
I'm not. I'm not. I mean, it's not that I'm not Shad CN. I'm
Yeah.
just like I generally write my own stuff
There you
most of
go.
the time.
You have your own
Uh,
specialized
because I've
controllers you've
got
already built.
like I've just got like components from past projects so much, and when they're just like personal projects, I generally keep a similar style across all of them, so it's super easy just to like grab and pull everything in.
I like it. Your stuff is always neatly designed. I love it.
Yes. It's just like if I know how to do it, why not? Like all these things are incredible. Like Shadcn, Filament, like all these tools that like do the design stuff for you so you can just get right to it. But it's like part of the reason I do it is to think about design and
Oh yeah.
to practice design. So
Yeah.
sometimes I just skip right past them.
There
Quick
you go.
question before we leave.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned like ooh Filament. Um, what is like there is in Laravel packages there is like this idea of like your admin dashboard and like
Mhm.
pre-built admin stuff. Is that what Filament is, or is that one of the other ones?
Yeah. So Filament is a community package. And so Laravel does have their own official package for admins, specifically
Mm-hmm.
admin panels called
Mm-hmm.
Nova. And
Nova.
that's built with Vue and Inertia.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, type stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is like specifically geared towards, hey, this is an admin panel, not specifically an app panel builder. And what
Gotcha.
Filament, I would say, is probably like just a different direction. While you can use it for admin panels strictly, it's also built on Livewire, and it's
Mm-hmm.
specific for like everything else. Almost the thing of like, okay, if your users want to log into a panel and have
Mm-hmm.
their own forms to
Mm-hmm.
modify,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I have a SaaS application I've built out in Filament because it has all the
Yep.
CRUD applications kind of built out
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I would say like they're kind of kind of not the same. Like a lot of people think they are.
Right.
It's kind of like one on top of the other.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, cool. I'll have to check them out to see if there's anything that would, because it's like I'm not technically here to design like the admin thing. Like I don't
Yep.
super care about the admin part of it, other than just like that it's there. But this looks like specifically Livewire, which I don't care to get into. So I'll probably be building a bunch of stuff, which
Yeah,
is
I
also
will say
fine.
both for Filament and Nova. Most of the time, you're not really touching the front end stuff for either of them, especially if you're
Mm-hmm.
just using admin panels. A lot of times, it's just strictly in PHP. You're saying, "Hey, generate me this table in
Mm-hmm.
PHP," and it's just
Mm-hmm.
pushing it to the front end for you, so you don't have to mess with all of it. Saying like, "Hey,
Gotcha.
give me a table," both in Nova and Filament. It's like, "Hey, give me a table of all
Oh,
the
okay.
posts," and then it just gives you the options to edit it and
Which
delete
is
them,
nice
that kind
because
of
it
stuff.
has like file upload for you, which is probably not the most fun thing to build out of the box, especially when it comes with these methods for doing it automatically.
Yeah, and you can see here, like in
Interesting.
Filament, all that's just PHP. It just shows you
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really touch the actual front end stuff for
Gotcha.
90% of it for both of those.
Oh, okay. That's super interesting. Well, I'll take a look at them. I'm generally like a build everything in these type of scenario. Like if I'm building it for like a for real like SaaS application, then like
Yeah,
no, why
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
yeah,
But if it's like for like a project like this where like the goal is to learn, then like I'm building it from scratch so
oh
that I
yeah,
actually learn. So this will be fun. I'm gonna have to share along the way, especially since those seem to be like not React focused. I figured what could be interesting about me getting into Laravel is there don't seem to be just a ton of Laravel, like React. Not that people don't use React. I know
hmm
there are a ton of people who do use React, but there's not a ton of people who do like content in Laravel who are like sharing all about how they're doing
React
stuff
specifically.
with
Yeah,
React. So I thought it
yeah,
might be like an interesting thing to like, might be some place that I could help in the community since I do have such a bigger breadth of experience in like TypeScript and React that it
yeah,
might be interesting. Could definitely not be. We'll find out. But like,
yep.
I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Yeah. I'm all for that, especially with Inertia 2 coming out. There's going to be some
Yes, I'm
a little
pumped.
bit of a
Yeah,
fresh
I've been talking
invigoration.
talking to
Joe Tannenbaum.
not well. I have talked to Joe about it. But no, I've been talking with Oh my goodness, why did I just completely blank? It's been a long day. Friend of everyone.
Friend of the
Lives in
pod,
Georgia.
Jason.
Just joined Jason. It was a J name. It was just right there. So Jason Beggs. Yeah, I've been talking with Jason because I helped him with like a little React bug that he was having building out something for the cloud product with like toasts and stuff, and he was like giving me like a little poke around with like the they're using like a preview version of Inertia 2 already in cloud, and it's going to be real nice. So I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. As someone who like, I guess my job for the most part is to get to know everything about Laravel as much as I can. So I can't just be Livewire,
that's
even though
cool
that's
job.
my preference. But yeah, yes, I'm excited.
Well, you're
to
doing a
make some
great
content
job,
about
Josh.
Inertia too.
That's for sure. It was super fun
Thank
coming
you,
on
man.
here and you
Appreciate
helping me through all this. It's definitely got me. I think I've got like enough now to where it's like, okay, yeah, I could work for a couple days and get a ton of stuff done before I run into something else that I'm like, man, I got no clue. So
There you go. The cool thing is like you're kind of similar to how you like remix in the sense of like, okay, hey, here's just an HTML. While Inertia might not be that on the front end just yet, it's one of those things like, okay, all of your backend is the same thing where you're like, you have the control, you have the store route,
so
you
pumped.
have push into it. So it's all just, you could swap out Inertia for anything else and your app wouldn't change.
Gotcha. Cool.
Because you're just pushing
that's
information
nice.
to it.
Yeah, that's nice. Where like the back end is Laravel and nothing about that changes. Whereas like in JavaScript, it's like everything changes if you try to even like switch from one thing to another in the ecosystem. So
yeah, exactly.
This is gonna be nice. And like even with like databases, like I could switch to like SQLite or like not that you do, but like it's just changing drivers. Whereas
nothing changes.
Like in JavaScript, it's like nope. You've got to rethink the entire way that you approach databases because you switched from Prisma to Drizzle.
Yep. Of course, there's like some things, some here and there where it's like foreign keys aren't available and something like that. But yeah, most everything is like, hey, in development I have SQLite, and in production I have Postgres.
You need to, after this, you need to like check out Allie just replied. She said, that's super cool. He wants to build in Laravel, but his wife wants to make sure he just grabs the soccer bag before he leaves the house.
You just can't get rid of it.
We've got a soccer game tonight, and
very nice.
I'm the one who is responsible for getting everything out the door to meet them after school. So
there you go.
I gotta coach it up, grab a bunch of soccer gear, and go watch 5-year-olds run around kicking a soccer ball. It's gonna be a fun one.
The absolute best.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Josh.
Thanks so much for hopping on, Will. I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for joining and all who watched. I'm gonna head out as well. But yeah, thanks so much, Will.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Josh.